Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer in no pink room. We ain't got no more pink background. We got nothing. You see, new locations, new props, new bar, new everything. Happy Mother's Day to anybody out there, but everybody watching this, we are live! What's going on, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to a live episode of Technoid. But not just any episode of Technoid, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally out of that room. Bye-bye, sayonara, saluta. We are now in a new location, finally able to give the passion, the love, the dedication, everything. Finally, I feel like The Rock in this mofo. Finally, The Rock has come back. Except I'm not The Rock. But anyway, what is going on, you beautiful people out there? I am pumped up. I'm hyped. I'm excited right now because for the first time, it feels so great. It feels so great to finally be in a new location, and it feels amazing. And I cannot wait to get this show started. But anyway, guys, before we start this show, I want to say to everybody, thank you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for everybody to continue to watch my show. Thank you to your new subscribers. And thank you to every single one of you that have used the promo code Technoid when you purchase Rogue Energy. You guys have no idea how much that means to me. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And once again, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Now, with that being said, let us bring in our guests. But before we bring them in, let's explain how live streams are going to run from now on. So as you see, I got no chair. I got nothing except a bar. Because this is where I domain. I'm going to be chilling with you guys for the next hour. Of course, I won't be sitting here for the entire show. But from time to time, I'll just cherish some of my beautiful belts with a nice bar background. I have a third belt if you guys haven't watched my video, but we can't put that on there because I do want to keep some money here and there. So we'll figure out a way till that comes around. But yes, guys, we're going to bring some new flair. We're going to bring some energy to these live streams. We're going to make it interactive. I really want to see you guys have fun with this show, and I definitely want to have some fun. So enough talking, enough chatting. Let's get our first guest in, coming all the way from the CLE. Let's pay it some warm welcome to SMT, Sneed Mobile Tech. What is up, my brother?
Big salute, brother.
Woo! I am pumped up. It must have been that shot of Jack Daniels I took.
It was either that or the Rogue, man.
Ah, man. Also, real quickly, let's fix this real quick. There we go. Also, coming in our show tonight to debut this brand new setup, this brand new era of live streams, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many beamies, but the man who gives you the best phone deals in America. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dennis BP 3.
We are live!
I'm loving this. What is up, you beautiful people? Thank you guys for coming on tonight's show. I appreciate you all being here tonight. What do you make of the energy?
It's that Rogue energy, man. It's that Rogue energy you gave me. That's where it's coming from.
That's where it's coming from. Remember, guys, every time you use your promo code Technoid, you save 10% off. You get some healthy energy, but you also help out the channel. Alrighty. Whew. I tired myself out after before this show started. Alrighty, let's get right to it. So tonight's show is all about carriers. Now, if you guys know one thing or not, I will be the first to admit it. I myself am a casual. There's no way around it. I am a casual when it comes to the cellular world. But over the years, I have learned a thing or two from these two gentlemen sitting on your screen tonight. And tonight, we are going to talk all about the carrier. So, the main star of the show, of course, is T-Mobile because, of course, T-Mobile does tend to get dragged in the mud from here and there. But I want to kind of highlight some good things and maybe some bad things. But there was an Uncarrier announcement, which we are going to make our first topic of the night. And I wrote on my Twitter, Sneed, if you follow me, also everybody follow me at Technoid12, you will see when you posted about the show, I actually did not know. So you were the first to tell me about the show. And then I checked it out. And to be honest, at least from my perspective, I felt that that was actually a more uncarrier news than the last few events we've had from T-Mobile. I'll explain why I say that, but before we talk about my opinion, your opinions, let's break down what the event was about. So while I pull up the details, I'm going to let Sneed go first, and then Dennis, you can add on anything else that we may or may not know, and then we'll kind of discuss it and give our opinion. So Sneed, the floor is yours.
All right, so I think you're probably right. I think this one probably the most uncarrier compared to like the last few. That's probably accurate. In terms of the actual announcement and the elements from it, I would say that there were like 7 or 8 major things that were kind of encompassed into this announcement. And I would say that some of those things were, uncarrier motivated. Uh, a couple of them weren't. So it's really a mixed bag, which is why I get why, like your take is the way it is. You see some of the really good things that are coming from this announcement, but you really have to pick through and look at some of the terms. There are a couple of upsells in this, which is not uncarrier. Upsells are carrier. So there's a little bit of that. But the fact that they're fighting big cable, that is uncarrier. So in its premise, like the actual mission statement of what this was about, I would say yes, it is uncarrier.
Alrighty, Dennis, what is your take on this event?
Um, in all sincerity, I didn't really feel like it was that uncarrier. This just felt like a free advertising event. While I think it's great that T-Mobile is trying to bring competition to the broadband space, which is well needed, and while I think it's great that T-Mobile did incorporate some type of multi-product discount, so to speak, for bundling, nothing here was new. Nothing here really broke the mold. Um, and I really don't feel like there was that much to get excited about. I mean, they're not solving any. When it comes to traditional and carrier events, they solve pain points, like real pain points, getting rid of overages, including taxes and fees. They had the uncarrier commitment to price locking. They had, the international roaming being included in places like Canada and Mexico, like real pain points that are being solved. And I don't feel like they did anything to solve any real pain points when it comes to the broadband space. They took a page out of Cable's book and brought bundling, which is what Verizon was doing with their home internet. And that was really the major highlight of the event. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being too down on them. I don't know.
Did you get cut out, Dennis? You got cut off for just a second.
I said maybe I'm being too hard on them.
Sneed, can you hear him?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the audio cut out on my end. I'll get that fixed up in just a second. But anyway, go ahead, Dennis. While I fix this, go ahead. You can finish up.
I was just saying maybe I was being too hard on them. I don't know.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, there we go. We fixed the audio. Now I can hear you now. Okay, so as I was, I think I would agree. I think I agree. I would say it's 50-50. Half of it was maybe uncarrier, some of it wasn't. Again, this isn't something new here. We've already known about T-Mobile Home Internet. We've already known about this for about almost, I would say, about 2 years now, and I believe we've seen the potential, but we haven't seen execution. I think now is the execution because they've finally started a marketing campaign. They've started to push it. They've tried to advertise it. But the reason why I think, at least for me, and I don't disagree with you, Dennis. I actually agree with a lot of the points you said, and we're going to discuss one of the points you brought up. I think one of the reasons why I thought this was uncarrier was because I felt that for the first time, maybe it's a marketing gimmick, maybe it's a marketing ploy, but I felt like for the first time, this was T-Mobile finally going back to half of its roots. I say half of its roots because the original John Ledger T-Mobile was all about trying to grab the market share, trying to disrupt the industry. And again, it was great marketing advertisement, but the execution was nailed to the T. But one of the things that I liked about this event was what you mentioned, the home TV service, which we'll discuss in just a second. But going back to the home internet, we have seen Verizon push their home internet with 5G, and we've seen how they're implementing ultra wideband. So I like the fact that T-Mobile is trying to get on board early rather than later. If they had learned that lesson with ultra wideband sooner, maybe the build out would have been a little bit smoother, but we're not going to go down that path. What I will say, though, is that I do actually like that they know that they are trying to go after the cable disruptors. They're trying to go after the cable subscriptions, and that's one of the areas that I focus on because when you're trying to when you're trying to go after such big companies, you have to have something in your arsenal. And I think the biggest arsenal that they have going in is the partnership with YouTube TV. And I like the fact that it's discounted for a year. Now, it would have been nice for a little extended leisure, but I understand it's not their service, so they have to follow within the guidelines of the policy. But I also like the fact that they're bundling it with the home internet because it seems that our generation, this society, has moved to a more digital platform. So taking full advantage of this in an industry that's considered dying because most people are cable cutters now, I like the move. I think it's a great marketing ploy, and I think it will definitely deliver at a nice price point at $50. But again, there is something I want to highlight, and it's what you said, Dennis, and what Sneed said. The in details of that don't make it uncarrier, and also what you said, the broadband spectrum. So going to the broadband spectrum for just a second, I want you to expand on that real quickly.
Um, well, like I was kind of saying, while T-Mobile's offering broadband, what they're doing as far as the offering hasn't really changed too much from what traditional ISPs did. They incorporate a bundle discount if you get their cell phone service, specifically Magenta Max, which is a playbook that's as old as cable has been in the business, bundling for discounts.
Yep.
Um, I think that if they wanted to tackle real pain points in the internet space, especially with a fixed wireless product like this one, they would probably work on making, say, for example, external antennas be easy and plug and play, like encouraging consumers to have the tools they need to ensure that their experience is good. Right now, for the targeted demographic that T-Mobile is trying to go after or saying they're going after is rural Americans, they would benefit greatly from having basically little self-install like add-on kits to have directional antennae to, try to improve that signal just that ever little bit to get the most performance possible, or maybe some Wi-Fi extenders, maybe some more control inside the router for like things like port forwarding and like businesses and stuff like that. And it's missing a lot of functionality. It kind of feels like it's still in beta to me as an internet product goes.
Yes, I've actually heard that argument from many people, and that's a very valid argument. Now, Sneed, before I go on any further, I also want to hear what you had to say with the little in details that people don't know about, because that's a very, very key thing to this, statement from what I'm saying, because you highlighted it perfectly. So I want you to go ahead and expand on that.
All right. So when you do an uncarrier move, you have to address customer pain points. Are they doing that with this? So some of the things that they offer in terms of what they're doing with this home internet initiative, 15-day free risk-free trial. All right. So if you don't like it, you send it back. That's not really uncarrier because Verizon is doing that. Zero cost to cancel. So they'll pay up to $500 to switch. Verizon's been doing that too. So they're not necessarily innovating. They're really just matching their main competitor for fixed wireless access. So that stuff is not really uncarrier. What is kind of sort of uncarrier is they're giving the 5G business customers the same price as 5G home. So that's a little bit uncarrier because traditionally, if you get a business plan, they're like double, if not triple the cost. Now, there's certain things that come with business, typically in accounts, that draw the premium price. Certain, instant customer care, static IP, like there's all these different security features and different account benefits. But like T-Mobile doesn't offer that. It's not like they're giving you that at the same price. They don't offer it at all. In fact, they don't even have a customer QCI that's going to give you a quality of service advantage to have the 5G business. It's still the same D price. So like some of this stuff is not really as it's intended to be. The bigger problem I have is the fact that they tie you in. You have to have Magenta Max as a wireless customer in order to take advantage of so much of the goodies, right? So the 50% off a streaming device, that's nice. Or the $50 off streaming device, that's nice. 50% off a YouTube TV for 1 year, it's nice. It'd be nice if that was permanent instead of just 1 year, right? You're going to be paying full price after the year. And then getting access to T-Mobile Tuesday, I guess it's cool. I don't think anybody's really, shooting up out of bed to rush on Tuesday mornings to get over to T-Mobile and get a chicken sandwich. You know what I mean? So like,
I mean, let's call out T-Mobile Tuesday for what it is. That's T-Mobile's marketing. That's their ad campaign. They make money
That
off
is
of that.
literally the one thing that's put them on a pop cultural icon kind of carrier thing.
yeah.
Because
And well, how about this?
it's
How about this,
go ahead.
Mike? If they wanted to uncarrier, and this goes back to the business piece, how I was talking about how in business you have a specific quality of service, you have a little bit
SLA
of a higher
agreement.
standard as a business, right? Well, in this case, they're like, yeah, we'll give you national coverage for business. Most business accounts are like tied regionally. You get national pricing, you get national availability, but they're also tying you down to 100 to 300 gigs of usage. That's not even unlimited. That's
Mhm.
anti-uncarrier. So like there are a couple really suspect things here, tying it into Magenta Max only, and then that business stuff kind of has me shaking my head. And
Yeah,
Dennis is right. There is a very cable-esque twist to how you need to bundle everything. They're not telling you have to bundle, but if you want to take advantage of the deals, you bundle.
and I just want to chime in real quick on the business standpoint. I was gonna say the fact that they were charging the same pricing it wasn't out of the goodness of their heart. They literally couldn't charge a premium price for business customers. They're missing the most important thing, which is called a service level agreement. It's a guaranteed uptime with a guaranteed minimum speed,
They
which
can't offer that.
T-Mobile,
Nah, they
well,
can't offer
not
that.
only can they not offer it, they got called out on it. They had to change their fact sheet. If you remember, they were saying they would guarantee 100 meg, and they weren't able to meet that standard. Now it's
You
a
know what
range
they
of
say now, Dennis?
25 to 100, I believe.
They said expected average speeds of 100 megabits.
Come on
Ah,
now. Come on.
That's the wordplay. Expected average.
mm.
So that they're leaving some wiggle room, from the legal side.
Well, on their fact sheet, I believe it's a range now from 25 to 100, which for 5G ultra capacity, that's some LT level performance right there, as a
Yep.
guarantee. So,
Man, and
Read the
you know
fine
what's
print,
funny?
man.
You know what's funny is that I am trying to give the benefit of the doubt to a company who has pretty much shown they're not on carrier anymore. And now hearing all this, it just makes me wonder, did I choose my words correctly? Well, I'm still standing by them, whatever. But I do agree with everything you guys said. And there is one thing that I have a question personally for T-Mobile. I personally have a question. You know, the question that puzzles me about all of this with the whole uncarrier branding is that you advertise that you're going to disrupt the market share, you're going to go after all this, but if you're following in the footsteps, wouldn't the strategic plan, the most basic strategic plan for any marketeer, is to go all about perception? Because one of the things that I disagree with T-Mobile with this whole proposition is the whole bundling. While I like it, I also don't like it. So rather than make that the forefront of your marketing campaign, as a matter of fact, let's actually pull up the T-Mobile website. Let's see if they have this all advertised right now, so you can actually examine it. So let's pull
What do
this
they
up
call
here.
this? They call this internet freedom, I think. T-Mobile internet freedom.
Yeah. So first of all, the whole naming scheme, internet freedom, I do understand 100 to 200 gigabytes of data a month. For average people, that seems about fine.
Well, that's
But
specific for the business.
for specific for the business, but
Yeah,
for
that's
other
for the
people that are multitaskers that use huge amounts of data,
families.
families,
Right.
also gamers, especially like myself, because I'm having a PS5 right now, and I can tell you guys that thing pulls in almost like 1 gigabytes just to stream on Warzone. If you guys play Call of Duty Warzone,
How
NBA
long is that
2K,
gaming session?
that gaming session could run me up to 3 hours at nonstop playage because it's like Fortnite, except Warzone is more kind of addicting for me. But the thing is T-Mobile, I think, should have worded that a little bit more, or not worded it, but they shouldn't have called it internet freedom. They should have used a different terminology because, for one, it's not really freedom, and number two, again, it goes back to what we said. It's going to be a hard sell for those heavy users. Here we go. So here is the website, and as you can see, let me know when you guys see it. Here we go. So they have it in the forefront: 5G home internet, free yourself from internet BS. Okay, generally fine. I don't see anything wrong with adding the words BS. I think they took a page out of my channel. But no, yeah. So they linked the official event, and you could get it for business. You can get. I didn't actually know this was on there. So apparently, there's home internet for Metro. I had no idea about that. Could somebody fill me in on that?
It's the same product as the consumer gets, except it's for prepaid, so it doesn't require a credit check, which is kind of cool.
Okay, that's a good. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, so here's the thing. They say price lock, freedom to save. Your price is locked in, and you save 50% on home internet. But again, they put in the fine print. You have to be a Magenta Max consumer. So one of the first things I would have done as a marketer, as somebody who's advertising, and also for somebody who is trying to play this for the uncarrier, I wouldn't have stretched this for everyone. I would have started this, like you said, Dennis, a beta. But how do we word betas? We have to get it in a way where consumers can understand it so they don't feel like they're testers. So you say, this is an exclusive offer for the Magenta Max customers and then for anyone interested to try it out. Because if you're an existing customer, you could get it, which would make more of a marketing campaign for, quote, Uncarrier. That's number one. Number two, taking a look at the 50% off cable live TV for a year, I feel like this is a big opportunity for them to really play this one out of the park because they have MLB, they got YouTube TV. I feel like they really should have this in the forefront because, again, it does show Magenta Max, but if you play it right, where you get people to use a subscription service and you're getting half off for a year, all about value is the key. The key is value for the consumer. And what is YouTube TV right now? What's the starting price per month?
$65.
So half of that is about like 30, like about
$32.50.
$32. Yeah. And I read the detail on this. This is the premium YouTube TV. There's no other ad tier. This is the full 100%. So that's something I would advertise. I guess I'm focusing more on the advertisement aspect because as somebody who wants to see this as Uncarrier, you have to pull these marketing stunts to kind of make it for the broad general audience. Also, real quickly, I'm looking here at special offers for being the home internet customers. They do incentivize by giving you Paramount Plus for 1 year. They did the same thing Verizon does with Discovery Plus, but I think Paramount Plus is a little bit more in terms of content, so that's a good. Apparently, they also the streaming device on us. You get up to $50 off. You get the home internet for $30 a month with the auto pay with Magenta Max for the family. You get the 50% off, and then see this right here, the T-Mobile Tuesday. They really should not put that in as a special offer. That should just be something standard. I don't feel like that's something that offers any significant increase or decrease in the experience. So that's something I would have done. I would have just said every customer gets T-Mobile Tuesday. Don't put that in as a special offer. That's a nitpick. But that's how I would position the whole campaign around this internet freedom. It sounds easier than done, but I want to hear you guys' reaction. What do you think? And what else do you guys see maybe they can improve on in the marketing aspect?
Well, as far as discounts go, I mean, as I'm being called the cable guy, explosive pricing is what I see. Sneak calls that out on cable all the time. I'm going to call it out here. YouTube TV being 50% off for a year is not a good value proposition because you're going to pay double the cost after the 12 months expire. And because it's live television, we already know live television as a yearly basis, almost like a holiday, goes up every single year. So pricing is going to be exploding if you do that bundle. As far as the data cap goes for business customers, 300 gigs is not a heavy use case at all. The average household uses 500 gigabytes and business needs are double that at a minimum. Yeah. I mean, you figure, even a small business is going to have about 10, 15 people being connected doing their thing with many more connected devices than you're going to find in the average household. The average household only has like 4 people in it. So that's a thing. There's not really much about this that makes me go, yay. And then as far as the beta goes, T-Mobile did have a beta for this when it was released. They pretty much ignored all the problems that people said about it and then went to go make it a public live, tried to
I
charge
remember,
$60 for it, failed, dropped it
remember
back to
that.
50.
Yep.
And here we are today with the same product that basically is the same beta experience, with T-Mobile not really caring who they sell it to. Like, if T-Mobile wanted to actually ensure this was good, they'd be much more stringent on where they sell it to ensure there is excess capacity. And they'd be taking a more like granular approach with their rollouts, where maybe they start with, say, 15 cities, see how it picks up, densify with millimeter wave. I know, a swear word for T-Mobile, and then make sure everything looks good. Then expand out into another market.
Listen, we could say that that's a dense word for them, but we all know it's facts. We know millimeter wave is like the creme de la creme of 5G. It just depends on your market.
Yeah, but it's
Sneak, go
taboo
ahead.
for them, right?
Oh, it's bad news. It's lights out. It's worse than getting a front kick to the face like Tony Ferguson did last night, bro. That's how big it is. All right, Sneak, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis he's bringing up some really good points. You're looking at 5G use cases, right? Fixed wireless access is the number one right now. You need capacity to do it. You have to densify. Millimeter wave is a must to create a real capacity layer that can help them carry a lot more customers on, 5G home, 5G business, and just general mobile usage. And it seems like there's a lot of buildup. There's a lot of hoopla. People have been complaining about lack of availability when they search for addresses to see if they have it. So there are things that obviously are not really in perfect harmony yet. It's not really matching their marketing push. If the marketing is at a 9, the real world performance and the deals is at a 5. So it's a bit of a mismatch. You know, they like to hype things up and it's part of their marketing approach, but like you have to come through and you have to execute it. Mike, you spoke to the execution piece.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, or else it's falling on deaf ears. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll kind of like wrap it up by saying this. T-Mobile's trouble is always going to be network related when it comes to this service. They need a good, reliable gateway. They need really good capacity. And then the rest of it can kind of just come in into place. If they don't have those basic fundamentals, they are going to have trouble because the Arcadian gateway seems to be a little better than the Nokia trash can, but the Nokia trash can overheats and has been a real problem for the last year.
Yeah,
I
but
tried it and it was terrible and I returned it and I
yeah, but
canceled the service.
Sneed,
Yep, I
there's one
remember that.
thing. Even though that Nokia trash can overheated, there's one thing that actually made it better for the rural customers. Can you guess what it is?
Yeah, being able to put external
Being
antennas.
antennas.
Mm-hmm. There's that, and then also there's one other thing I want to touch on real fast. Um, as we speak, T-Mobile's network is getting worse again. Standalone is not helping them. They're making bad decisions when it comes to their 5G network. I touched on this with you when we were talking on the phone earlier today, Sneed, but T-Mobile decided to put standalone 5G over here in Pittsburgh at the Robinson Mall. That sounds awesome. That's an upgrade.
On
Problem
paper, on paper, it sounds good.
problem is that T-Mobile only has 5 megahertz of N71 on that cell site,
Ah.
and N71 is the anchor in your upload band. So basically, TLDR, you can't get above 5 megs of upload, and whenever someone's actually using that, it's less than 5. If they were on NSA, you would have band 66 and band 2 for your upload, which adds a lot more capacity in combination with the 100 megahertz N41 for your downlink. And I'm going to make a hot call out and just say that if T-Mobile progresses to do what they're doing, making those upgrades to standalone, but not adding extra spectrum for the standalone core, that more people are going to start noticing issues with their network performance.
Yeah, I would like to expand on that, but I think you guys laid out the foundation very, very well. So I'm not going to really add anything. But last thing to what you said about the whole, signal getting worse. I'll be honest. It's been about, I believe, 2 years since we've switched away from T-Mobile here in New York, and I've seen huge progress from Verizon. They've added multiple different areas for 5G millimeter wave. And one of the most uncommon places I thought I'd ever find them is actually at my job. So I just got promoted to the general manager, and right next door is Walgreens. And literally, literally, I'm getting 5G ultra wideband, and I don't even need to use my job's Wi-Fi. It's because the connection's right there next door. Now, I think it had something to do with the partnership that
I think
Verizon
they do have
had.
a partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was it. But I actually haven't seen T-Mobile standalone in terms of like the last 2 years. So I'm gonna post a comment here in the live chat, and I'm gonna ask the community: should I, Technoid, get an eSIM and try back T-Mobile on top? Should I go back and switch and try to see how it works after 2 years? See if there's been some improvement. See if there's been any degradation, anything. I'll leave that up to you guys. So that's where I'll leave that. But speaking of Verizon, there is actually a big news going around right now, and it has something to do with pricing. Now, if you guys know anything about Verizon, it is not cheap. Verizon will never be cheap. So get that idea out of your head that Verizon is affordable. They are highly valued, but you have to pay a premium. However, though, there is an article sorting around by Fortune. I'm not sure if you guys have read this article. This is actually my second time looking at it. And based on the article, according to some reports, it seems that they are considering raising prices on wireless plans to address the certain, quote, inflation-related costs that are following AT&T, which has ordered them to increase rates on older plans by $6 or more. Going into it further, no, I don't want to be a community member. Being going deep into this, it seems that the reason that they're going into this route, it seems that it could be to address trying to get new customers to switch on to the new plans like AT&T did. But the general synopsis is that it isn't likely, but it's not something to be ruled out of the question. So I want to ask you guys: do you see Verizon potentially doing the same move that AT&T did, or do you see them doing this move not at all? What do you have to say on this?
I see Verizon raising their prices if they can get away with it. It follows Verizon's MO. Verizon tends to try to brand themselves like the Apple of wireless networks. And so having the premium price tag for the premium network is kind of their thing. And they've been really focused on ARPU since there's not much uh, natural organic growth that can occur in the saturated wireless market at this point. Their main growth engine is the home internet product, which I think they'll continue to keep at discounted pricing, but I can totally see them raising their core wireless business costs.
Mm-hmm. What about you, big brother Sneed?
And look, when they talk about it, they do it. So I don't think it's if they raise pricing. I just think it's when does it happen? Are they going to wait till Q3? Are they going to wait till Q4? I think by the end of the year, we know we have an answer. How much and how they execute it, that could be up for debate. Maybe it'll be something similar to like AT&T, where they, impact the legacy plans first, and then maybe look to possibly add a inflationary fee, or I don't know, they could call it whatever, and just slap it on at the end of the bill. And the hard thing for Verizon is they have to be very careful because they are already the most expensive carrier. You said it yourself, they are extremely premium, and this would push them further over the top. If you're already expensive, what more expensive? I mean, for people that have kept Verizon because it's been reliable and good for them and they haven't had reason to switch, now they may start entertaining a shift or a move to AT&T. Or, if they're looking to save maybe a considerable amount of money, T-Mobile has locked in prices or whatever. They're saying they're not raising prices. They're giving the consumer confidence. So this could really backfire for Verizon, especially at a time where people and spending and costs are so sensitive. Like, the gallon of gas, the grocery list, all these different things, these expenditures, they're increasing. Wireless increasing is going to exacerbate the issue, increasing another bill. They may look to pivot to a cheaper bill. And if they walk into a T-Mobile store from Verizon, they're probably going to save on a 4-line account. They'll probably save $40 a month.
Yeah, but Sneed, remember one thing. Remember what Roger Etner said when it came to studies that he conducted with his surveys and his audience. And that was people are willing to forgo eating food to pay their cell phone bill. So I don't think a increase on the Verizon bill will necessarily be the end all de facto driving factor. It might get them curious about switching, but it won't be the end all be all for making them switch. They'll probably look at reducing down to say Verizon starter or whatever before they actually go look to go switch to somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
So Verizon's most popular plan is its middle plan. It's not the starter, it's not the get more. It's their middle plan. And if they get people downgrading, that decreases their ARPU, right? So like you're taking from Peter to pay Paul, right? They're going to switch down and pay less for their bill. So your ARPU is going down anyways, even though you're trying to increase pricing. It's backfiring completely. That's why it would be very interesting to see how they execute this. Because if it's simply just a plan that they add, a more expensive plan, that won't translate. People won't buy it.
I want to say two other things that are worth factoring in here real fast. One is as far as the when, I think they'll wait until after holiday season so they can get some customers in on financing agreements. And two, on the topic of the financing agreements, most people, if they do raise prices, are going to have someone on the account, if it's a multi-line account, that's stuck in a financing agreement. And those people aren't going to switch because it's as good as having a contract for them.
You know, I was gonna say something that was gonna go in an opposite direction, but I'm gonna stick with you guys because I like your arguments and I actually want to expand a little bit on it. And I think one of the things that I agree that I think they are going to raise prices is because we've seen them do this many times. Carriers have all done this before, but Verizon is notoriously known for doing this. However, though, I agree with Sneed because this would also. I'm also pulling up the Verizon website right here. If you look at their prices just for one line of a single user, this is how much each of their plans can run you. Now, one of the biggest things that Verizon has done to kind of combat the high price is offer incentives to kind of sweeten the pot, as you would say. So they've gotten partnerships with Hulu, Disney, ESPN, Apple Arcade or Google Play for a year, Apple Music for life if you get the 5G get more, but also for a year as well. Actually, no, wait. I think they took away the Apple Music from the Do More and the Play More. So I think it's only for a year, I think, or 6 months. No, yes, 6 months. Of course, also a huge ton of discounts. But the biggest issue that I see with Verizon trying to sell this price hike is how much more can you incentivize before customers start to say, this is just too much money? And I think that for me, if you're going to raise your prices, it would have to be because of two things. Number one, they can just do it because let's be honest, they can do it whenever they want. We don't need their permission. But number two, you have to spin it in a way where consumers are going to understand. But I feel like they've wasted that artillery because of two things, because of the incentives they've already thrown out and readjusted. But also look at their website right now. They've already kind of started this kind of revamp with the whole going ultra theme that they had going. I think it was back in January they did this. So I feel like for me, it would be more harder to sell a price increase now versus had they did it when they launched this whole unlimited is going ultra campaign. That's just my opinion.
Don't forget that they don't grow. They don't add new customers. They're not an attractive carrier when it comes to, switch to us. Yeah, like they'll run promotions for devices and they have all these things that they advertise, the value, the bundles, the entertainment, all that's there. But T-Mobile has been growing consistently. AT&T has been growing consistently. Verizon doesn't grow. They're not very good in the switcher pool. In fact, you know, th- there are some people there like they had losses last quarter, which is something very characteristic of Verizon in Q1. They don't really grow much in Q1s, and this quarter was no different, but they're not doing anything that's going to encourage or stimulate growth. They are 100% the premium experience carrier focusing on the premium customer, which is the customer that pays a lot of money for postpaid service. And They have those customers already. They're literally trying to just take them and upgrade them. They simply do not offer a compelling competitive pricing tier to compete with the big two that are with them.
And keeping with that just for a second, with the whole growth aspect, that's the next segue into our next topic, and that's the third party NVMOs. Now, Dennis, and Stetson are very, very known, or at least well known, for talking about those other NVMOs that work under the umbrella of the big boys. And you yourself can vouch that sometimes they're pretty good when given circumstances. Well, going by what Snee just said, I watched his video the other day. I think it was today I watched it. And I wanted to talk about it more tonight because when we talk about growth and expansion, it's shocking because according to the SMT himself and also from websites, we're seeing Comcast, Charter, and Altica adding almost 700,000 mobile subs in Q1. And we're talking Spectrum Mobile, Xfinity Mobile. We're talking cable, cellular. Okay, let's put this in a perspective for people that don't know anything. Imagine the big three. They've got their market share, they're set. But just imagine that a cable company like Xfinity with notoriously bad reviews. If you know anything about Xfinity, they do have some really, really bad customer service. I could vouch that they've gotten a little bit better because they do very good in Florida, but I don't know how they do anywhere else. But imagine a cable company like Spectrum, who's dog crap here in New York in terms of internet. They're gaining subscribers. They're actually grabbing market share. And it's not just them. There's also Mint Mobile. There's also our homeboy, that's Carlos. There's a huge demand now for consumers starting to look elsewhere. So now I want to kind of throw back the question and talk about this growth. What does this do now that we're seeing a presence of general consumers starting to say, you know what, our bills are too high. Let's take a look and see what our company is offering. And what does this say about the NVMOs and the third party aspects? I'll let Dennis go first because this is your territory, Dennis.
Yeah, so there's three things I want to touch on. One is the reason why your traditional wireline providers are seeing explosive growth in the wireless space is basically because they still have monopolies essentially in many areas. And for a lot of consumers, if you're going to be stuck with Comcast anyway, and they're offering you aggressive like $35 discounts off your gig internet, which basically pays for your unlimited line, it's a no-brainer just to bundle at that point. It just is what it is. It makes sense. It's a bundling 2.0 for the modern day since cable's dead. That's number one. Number two is that honestly, while Comcast cable has a bad reputation, Xfinity Mobile has gotten very positive NPS scores. In fact, I believe, and I don't know if they still market this or not, but I know at one point they were actually winning like number one awards from JD Power, I believe, for their customer satisfaction. So they are doing something right. And, that can be seen in things such as availability of like getting hold of a customer support rep versus Verizon. Like Verizon shuts it down at like 9 or 10 o'clock on the East
Oh
Coast.
yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Xfinity's 24/7, which doesn't seem like much, but it's a big difference maker there. It can be looked at when it comes to like the deals. In fact, if we want to talk about being uncarrier, MVNOs, or excuse me, Xfinity right now is being kind of uncarrier with the fact that for almost all of their promos they do, they're not requiring trade-in for phones. It's just a simple porting your number, get this $400 off instantly on your first bill in the form of bill credits, unlike someone like say AT&T where you have to wait 60 days for the credit to show up.
Oh, some of them are 3 billing cycles, Dennis, for some of these carriers.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Comcast, it's day one when you order it. So that's actually a
Awesome.
pretty uncarrier move in and of itself. And then, the third thing is that these traditional wireline providers are leveraging something, and that is their Wi-Fi hotspots. They're essentially like the jank version of millimeter wave small cells in a way, because both Comcast and Spectrum, what they've done was with the Xfinity hotspots, which I thought was really clever, is they provision them to all be gigs. So like when you rent their gateway, okay, The gateways come with 8 antenna to broadcast your personal home internet tier, whatever that is that you pay from them, to broadcast like Wi-Fi stuff for like your wireless TV box, your home security, yada yada, to broadcast for like the normal Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots that your typical customer can use, and they're the ones that are capped at like 30 meg. And then finally, there's 2 more that broadcast for the actual cell phone service. And regardless of speed tier of the customer and what they pay for, that gets a full gigabit worth of bandwidth. And they got like, I don't remember what the number is, but there's a bunch of them across like 39 states. Sneed can vouch for when he was coming down to Pittsburgh. They are all over the place.
Yeah. Yep.
That gives a lot of extra capacity and fills in for a lot of dead spots, especially since, in places like Pittsburgh and everywhere else where Comcast is, like I said, they're kind of a monopoly. Every single business is going to have them, and every single business that has them means they're broadcasting an Xfinity hotspot. So it's like having all these different little small cells all over the place, just adding the capacity that the MNOs like Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are working towards. Comcast is able to do easily because they have the permitting, the infrastructure is already there. It's adding to the experience.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, when it comes to the whole, third parties, people tend to joke. People tend to make a lot of assumptions about something that they really don't know about. And I'm here to tell you, and I think you, Dennis, can even say that sometimes it can blow expectations out of the water. And one of the things that I love about the experience of third parties is the fact that it does work with the big guys. It's just a subsidiary that kind of just, it does its own thing, but it's powered by. So it has some reliability built into it. It just depends on how much. But before we go any further, before we talk about our last topic, and then we'll wrap this video up, I got some breaking news for you boys.
Ooh, breaking news.
It's actually not a news story. It's actually on my end. So I got a question for y'all. You two men. Do y'all use Los Mobile?
Yes, I have 2 Los red lines that Carlos provided me, as well as 1 Los blue line.
I got to ask you guys, how is the service in terms of Los Mobile? What are some good things you could say?
It's the highest priority on the network. I mean, they're basically enterprise plans. And in the example of Los Blue, it's an AT&T plan with true unlimited data, including unlimited hotspot, which is super perfect for my market. And then for the Los Red, it's unlimited on device and 120 gigs of hotspot, which is pretty much the best you can get on Verizon as it stands today, since the OG plans don't exist anymore.
Well, I've got some breaking news, boys. And also, I'm glad Carlos is in here because he says maybe Santa Dennis can rush it to him sooner with a little Xfinity mobile sim. I love the Santa Claus reference. I like that one. But your boy has finally activated a Los Mobile Blue line. And it is about time that we got on board with Mr. Los Mobile, Mr. Carlos. Thank you so much.
You got Los Mobile Death Star?
I got Death Star, boy. It's time for me to try Big Blue.
Are you going to do magenta? Get a magenta one too.
Listen, I've
Carlos,
tried pink.
Sneed, I think Carlos canceled the T-Mobile service part.
I think I tried pink thongs. I've gotten Big Red. Now we're going to Death Star. So we'll see how this service reacts.
Red Patty Night.
It's Red Patty Night. We'll see how it is. And I cannot wait to test this out. So Carlos, if you're watching this right now, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, my friend. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. You have no idea how awesome this is to finally try an eSIM, but also give me a chance to finally see all the hype in play. So shout out to Carlos S. Tech. But anyway, let's get back to the news. Now, for our final story, and then we will wrap up this episode. I also thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate you being here tonight. And honestly, I've been having a lot of fun right now. I realized the benefits of not having a chair. You can actually move around, you can walk, you could really do a lot more without having a chair. Man, I'm pulling. Honestly, if Pat McAfee has taught me anything, be yourself. So I'm gonna be myself from now on.
Hey, before we pivot, I just want to say 2 quick things. When we were talking about MVNOs, we focused on big cable. I do just want to say, for anybody that ends up watching this, if they're part of the hashtag rewatch crew and you don't have Comcast or big cable, Highly recommend US Mobile if you're looking for a Verizon provider that uses Verizon's coverage. They're hands down, honestly, one of the best choices on the market. They do great value. And Carlos himself actually has a line with them and can vouch for the priority if, the caveat being if, you activate on a 5G phone.
Right.
Also, side note, we will be testing Xfinity Mobile. I ordered 5 lines. So one's going to Sneed, 3's going to Carlos, and one's going to me.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see the videos, and I cannot wait to be a part of the Los Mobile Nation now. Now I'm officially a part of this nation. Because I know you guys have been trying to get me on board. I'll be honest, at first I was a little rough because money wasn't easy, but now that I'm making the big bucks again, we got the full-time promotion. It's time to finally get some tested. We make some upgrades. Because also, real quickly, before we move on to the final story, I just want to let you guys know that in this summertime, we're going to keep upgrading. So we're going to upgrade camera here. That will take a few months. We're going to upgrade a boom stand so this microphone is more directional so I can move around a little more and get more pickup. And lastly, next year, I am happy to announce that starting next year, we will go all in on a brand new camera equipment with everything. So
nice.
Expect some big upgrades coming for the next year because now my channel is finally starting to get some attraction. It's starting to get some pickup, and I really want to capitalize on the momentum. I do not want it to die. So stay tuned, ladies and germs, because the best is still yet to come. But anyway, last story of the day, last topic. Speaking of MVNOs, I have to ask you guys a question. Have y'all, this is rhetorical, anybody ever heard of Peter Adderton? That Kiwi is the best. And I'm going to tell you why. He is, I can't curse, but he is the real BMF. I got to tell you, man, he's got a funny sense of humor, but he is also, in my opinion, he's positioned himself in a way where he is basically what John Ledger was without a filter. Because if anybody follows Peter Adderton, listen, Peter, if you're watching this, just know I do love Kiwis. I've been to Australia, New Zealand. I love the place. I love the Great Barrier Reef. I do love, Sydney and others. But I'm more interested in you, my friend, because you, for the last 2 years, you've been teasing. For 2 years, he's been teasing this whole
Mobile X thing.
Big Mobile X. And, I gotta tell you, man, when I first heard it, I jumped on the hype train. I believe because I said, something? I have a feeling. And if you watch my older videos, when I had long hair during the pandemic era, I said, and I quote, I believe that this could be the next best thing. However, though, we had to wait a full 2 years for any updates because secretly behind the scenes, he's been making some big moves. And one of the biggest news came just a few weeks ago when he announced that Verizon will be powering Mobile X in a new venture that is, quote, not an MVNO. Now, the way that he claims, according to Peter, if you follow his Twitter, because that's the best way to get any news and information in regards to Mobile X. They're currently undergoing beta testers. Unfortunately, I was not selected, but I didn't think I would get selected anyway because I'm not in that guru style. I think these two men are more than qualified, should have been beta testers. But the thing that's interesting is that he has been very adamant about not doing the whole unlimited plan. And the reason is because he's been calling out this whole scheme of unlimited. He's been also kind of really going on top of consumers and kind of trying to unfold the blindfold on them. So I want you guys to talk about Mobile X. I want you guys to tell me, what are your thoughts about it? Do you see it being something big? Do you see something small? And what does this Verizon powering the network kind of do in terms of reliability, marketing, and also how is he going to position this? Because once he goes public, we got to see what the end result's going to be like.
You can go ahead with the start of this one, Dennis.
So anyone that knows me from the Best Phones Plan channel or from being on Sneeze channel, we're here, knows that I keep a very healthy amount of cynicism or criticism of what companies say they're going to do until it actually happens. Sneed will know I was hard on Dish until just recently when I started seeing actually some of the things that they were producing. And I'm going to stick to my guns of what I was like last year when I had Peter on. And that is, I don't have any real excitement for Mobile X. As best as I can tell from the limited knowledge that we have, they're an MVNO on Verizon and they're offering pay per use plans. Those are the only two bits of facts that we know. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't know what the pricing looks like. And if I'm basing it off of what I know most MVNOs pay per data, uh, and what typically how that works, it's probably going to be more affordable just through a prepackaged plan like unlimited calling, texting, 4 gigs data from Use Mobiles, for example, because most consumers don't know what they use, and most consumers don't want to have to worry about their bill being different every single month based off of usage. And there's a reason why pay as you use kind of died out for the majority of consumers. So until Peter gives me a reason to think otherwise of what he's offering, my opinion is whatever. You're another MVNO out of the 500.
Alrighty, I hear you on that, brother. And I do agree with you. There is some optimism. You got to wait to see what the execution, because that's the key with me. You could buy into hype, but you have to see how well it's played and executed. And if there's anything that college has taught me in the last 4 years, you can like the idea, but if the execution sucks, it's not going to be good. Go ahead, Sneed. What you got?
All right, so the situation with Mobile X is you got a lot of huffing and puffing on social media, right? There's a lot of tweeting, there's a lot of attacking, questioning the direction of the market, carrier tendencies and trends coming in to try to disrupt that. Well, it's really hard to change an industry as a company that's going to come in and do something different in which you're moving in the opposite direction. The trend was to move towards unlimited data, and people wanted that, regardless of how much data they actually use. So, for example, if somebody uses 20 gigs of data a month, if you charge them if you charge them $5 a gig, right, and they're using 20 gigs, their bill's $100. But if a typical unlimited plan could be anywhere between 50 to $90, right, without limitation. So paying by the gig isn't going to help somebody who uses, you know, 20 or more gigs of data. So who does Mobile X serve? Who is going to be their clientele? How are they going to get people out of the mindset to go backwards and get away from unlimited trends? I think it's a very difficult ask. You're either going to have a small customer base that you're serving or catering to, or you're trying to get people to start thinking about changing how they use their device. Like just use it less when you're not on Wi-Fi, I suppose, to try to save money. It's the it's the opposite. It's the opposite of what John Legere did and Sprint, and it's the opposite of what AT&T and Verizon painstakingly finally, changed to. I question the execution. We have to see how this plays out and how it's marketed. How do you get the consumer to think about your brand? It's like mind share. How do you get people to see you, understand you, and garner your want to buy your service?
Sneed, I just want to say you touched on something really important. And that's the part where we talk about who the targeted demographic was. I know I've talked about this in more detail, but when me and Stetson had a conversation about it, we could not think of anybody. Like the people that are going to be conscientious about how much data they use are going to be young people. Uh, and most young people tend to also be the ones that are heavier data users. The people that are going to be more senior oriented aren't going to know who Mobile X is as a brand, aren't going to want to switch to Mobile X as a brand. They don't have a retail footprint, so it's not going to tackle that use case either. And then you have this big chunk of the mobile population that's somewhere in the middle, parents. And it's not like Mobile X is doing like family accounts. I mean, once you start getting those family discounts, especially with something like US Mobile, where you're only paying like $30 a line for unlimited everything all in, it's really, or actually it's 25, excuse me, 25 a line all in. It's really hard to convince someone to switch from that, even if it's $5 cheaper.
Right.
You know, I I I can't disagree. You guys are 100% right. I was trying to find something to maybe oppose an opposite argument, because I do want to be as fair as humanly possible. And I also want to be that other factor because you mentioned younger generation. I do kind of fall into that. So I could actually give some say. I think my generation does kind of understand about our data and how much all the marketing play goes into it. But I can't disagree because you guys are 100% right. Now, I'll be the first to admit that, yes, it would be hard if it was me on my own, if I was going out and doing my own thing, buying my own phone plans, buying my own, everything. It would be a hard sell to convince me that this company who I've never heard of, who has not been on the market for so long, can give me better or about the same performance as what I'm getting with what I already have, or at least what I was provided with. But I think maybe why I believe in the hype is not because of Peter. Because listen, I think Peter has got some great sense of humor. He's also a very serious dude. I have been trying to get him to come on my show, but of course there has been little to no avail. But the invite is always open, Peter. So I doubt he's gonna see this video. But if he does, I would love to have you to come on, just like you came on Mr. Dennis's show. I would love to get another alternative perspective. They focus on the cellular. I want to focus on the consumer aspect. I would love to have you just to pick apart, just to see where we're going, what you can and can't talk about. Obviously, we'll tread those lines carefully, but I just want to get down to it. I really want to have a great discussion. That would be a great show. I think, hey, listen, if anybody wants to see me and Peter Addison go, give me a thumbs up now, because I'm telling you right now, we all know that I would love to do that. But anyway, enough of me marketing my own advertisement. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Carlos, and thank you for the Los Mobile. I think why I believe in the hype is because I like his style in terms of the marketing. I like the fact that he's straight up and he's not afraid to say what he wants to say. That's a very good way to portray yourself. If you're going to be the CEO of this company, you have to be open, you have to address, you obviously have to be respectful, but we've seen he has no chill with T-Mobile. He has no chill. But I got to tell you guys, I believe that there is something here, but I do agree with both of you. We have to see more information. We have to see a pricing. We have to kind of understand what are they going to penetrate in terms of the market share. Who are they going after? What's their biggest competition? Like, these are questions we need to see answered. And now that they're in beta testing, we don't know anything. No beta tester I don't believe they're able to say anything. So we're not going to be able to know any information until it finally launches. So I would personally like to see, if I had to pick what Mobile X is going for, I would like to see them target not the big guys, but to target the third-party MVMOs and say we're a step above them. And this would be a good idea to pull a carrier-like move. Kind of reminds me of a company that once did flagship killers. Maybe we can go a little carrier killers marketing ploy. Because if Peter claims, because according to what he's saying, if he claims that this is going to revolutionize, it's going to undercut the competition, and it's going to make a new era of misconception, trying to break down all these barriers, that's a strategy I would consider using. A carrier killer. Obviously, you're not killing the carrier, but you're killing the BS if that's the way he wants to position it. But again, it's all words and smoke until we see a physical, actual representation of what he can deliver. And maybe that's why I'm on board. Maybe that's why I believe in the hype. And again, if all this is just said in vain, then it's all said in vain.
I mean, I just want to say this. I'm not worried about the product. It's Verizon's network. I know it's going to be Verizon's network. Like, that's not the concern. His main target here is price, right? And when you're focusing on the only way he can win a price war, this is literally the only way, is if he has some type of deal struck up with Verizon where he's basically paying cost that an M&O would pay on a by gig basis. So like he would literally have to be getting a rate where like every gigabyte a day is like 0.001 of a penny. And then he would have to basically be reselling that gig of data at like, let's call it a dollar a gig. Like the margins, that's still healthy margins, very healthy margins actually. But like if it starts getting anything more expensive than that, and we start getting into the realm where it's $5 a gig, then it immediately becomes clear that it's just better off just to go with a pre-bundled little thing from Mint Mobile, for example, where you buy Costco style, and if you actually need more data 1 month, you just buy the top up. plain and simple. It's a price play. If they can't win on the price, they don't win.
Agreed. Final thoughts, Need? Any last things you want to say?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. They're coming into a mature, saturated market with established players. You know, maybe you're onto something. Maybe it's just they're going to target the MVNO space. I don't know how many postpaid traditional, mobile network customers they're going to get, because they just may not be looking to move towards Mobile X. Who knows?
You're right. Maybe we'll see. But again, I would love to talk to Peter. I really, I never beg. But if there was ever a time for me to get on my knees, but I can't do it because I'm in these jeans, I would literally get on my knees and be like, Peter, come on my show.
Listen,
Peter is get up out of those skinny jeans, bro.
Peter is awesome, and I would be down to have him on again as well if he's watching. I know he wants to kill me every time I talk, and it's probably the reason why I'm not a beta tester, because he knows I'm a hard nut. But hey, I'm always happy to hear if he wants to share on your show. I think he should come on. I know I'd be down to hear what his plan is, because like I said, so far we haven't seen. It's been a year and some change. We haven't really seen anything as far as things go. I know there's been some leaks of the app design, but nothing's really clicking yet.
It's not really like it's not fully set in stone. And I get it. So that's where I'll leave that. Again, I would love to have Peter come on my show. I'd love to talk the consumer aspect. I'd love to talk the misconception angles he's bringing in. I really want to talk. I guess you could say now I've become like a marketeer, because that's kind of where my degree falls in college. So I kind of have embraced my 4 years of college.
Technoid, on that note, real quick, just a quick idea. Before I came on the show, you were practicing and rehearsing. You should make a Patreon and just have that as like a bloopers, like little thing where you're getting ready, dude.
Oh man, I'll say this: Patreon support is coming soon, but it will only happen when we break 5,000 subscribers. Once we break 5,000 subscribers, I will fully introduce memberships. I'll fully introduce Patreons, and I promise you guys, if that's a suggestion, that will definitely be part of the Patreon support. I can promise you that. But I'll just say this, for me, I'm kind of taking it one step at a time. But once I break that 5,000 threshold, then I'll start kind of unveiling some things. But that's it. That's going to do it for this show. So before we go, I got something I want to say. Okay, couple things. Number one, thank you to our two incredible guests for coming in tonight. TMobile Tech, the biggest supporter. Actually, wait, let's do that again. TMobile Tech, the biggest supporter. Dennis, the biggest supporter as well. I appreciate you both coming in. We've rung in a new era of live streams down here. You can see the energy is back. You can see the passion is here. And my legs are still fine, so I'm going to be standing for all my live streams. I loved it. I love this new feel. I love the vibe. I hope I'm giving it back. I hope that my fans, people to watch, I hope you guys enjoy this new take. I really want you guys to know that this is not fake emotion. This is me in my natural habitat. For crying out loud, I put a WWE World Heavyweight Championship and an NXT belt on the other side with a bunch of liquor in the background. So that don't tell you enough about me. But I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time as well. And real quickly, we got to do this. So on every one of my live streams, I am going to call out. Not in a bad way, in a good way. I'm going to call out one person I would love to bring on my show. I would love to bring them on. We could have a great show. And the person that I'm calling out for next week's live stream, we'll be back to Thursday nights. Stetson Doggett! I'm coming for you! You need a live stream partner, so come on Technoid's show if you dare! God bless! See you at the top! But anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you all for watching. I completely messed that up. I completely ruined that. But yes, I would love to see Stetson come on. I would love to have Dennis back. I'd love to have all you guys back. But mainly, I would love to have some new people coming on. So I'm going to say this right now. All my shows are open invite. If you want to come on a live episode of Technoid, hit me up on Twitter. So here I will post my Twitter. You could follow me at Technoid12. You are more than welcome to come on. All you got to do is give me a DM. Okay, let me know when you're available. we make it happen. But anyway, guys, that is it for the live stream. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, you can hit the dislike button to help circulate my views as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And again, special thank yous to Rogue for being a part of the Technoid channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great night. And once again, happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. Thank you for watching. And as always,